Good afternoon.
Hi, Rochelle.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You're looking beautiful as ever.
Thanks. I did it just for this.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much.
Mm,
So may I ask you to tell us your name and share a little bit about yourself so we can get to know you a little better, please?
Definitely. My name is Shantell Thomas. I am a wife, a mother, and a marketer, right? That's how I kind of term myself because I am actively doing all of those things. And my husband always says, you can't do everything at 100%, but dang it, I try.
I love
And so I'm doing wife, mother, and marketer. And I spend my days working for a technology company here in Research Triangle area. And now that I'm working from home, right, the intersection of being a wife and mom are so much more dominant.
Yeah, absolutely. It,
Yeah.
Tell me what you mean by a marketer. What does that mean?
So I am a marketing manager for a technology company here. And that means that for my day job, I am continuously trying to promote and make aware the products that my company sells.
Uh,
So, like if you think about all of the commercials you see, all the digital ads you see, that type of work, right? The wizard, somebody's got to be behind the curtain. I'm behind the curtain,
uh, uh,
making products relevant to folks like you.
and how long have you done that?
Over 23 years now, I think. Yeah, yeah,
Is,
about 23 years. I love it. It's my passion. I just so happen to land in a day job that I'm actually very passionate about. It comes very naturally. You know how they say those things that come naturally are the things that you're probably supposed to be doing.
right, absolutely.
I am affirmed every day that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing because it comes very naturally. And I give it away a lot of times too, because if you have a conversation with me and you tell me something about your small business that you're trying to solve and maybe marketing is the answer, I'm going to tell you because I just believe that it comes very easy to me and I love to share it. So that's my day job. But you know how I met you, Rochelle, is through my other job, right? So being a conference speaker is my other job. So I'm trying to build a career in that. I think when I met you, it was probably my fourth time on stage, being a conference speaker, and I spend my evenings trying to grow that piece of my career because I feel like I definitely have some things to offer in being a woman in technology and a Black woman on top of that. And so I'm a minority. And just some of the things that having kind of worked through that space, I love to just be able to share.
Remind me when we are offline. I will help you with that. I speak more than I like to speak. I'm asked to speak almost every other week to
Really?
something
Oh my
like that.
goodness.
So if
Look, yeah, they say you need a speaker sister. Like I did a training and they say you need a speaker sister, somebody else who's doing it too, who maybe you can trade off some stuff with.
absolutely, you have to
Yeah.
identify what you want to talk about. I believe we were at a panel
Them. Yeah.
about women and diversity, but
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to find out what's the topic that you want to talk about. So my passion is advocacy and diversity and branding. But you find out that thing you want to talk about, and then you talk to your family about it until they just say, "I'm not listening to you anymore." They turn the radio up loud. They lock you out of their room so you can't talk to them anymore. And that's really how I really profess my skill. I did not start out to be a public speaker. I did not start out to be, I'm a technologist by trade. I love my work, but I find so many discrepancies in my work for people of color and women. So it just drove me to speak about that because I felt like no one else was really talking about that. We often hear about, white women and, how things are going for them, but,
Mm-hmm.
actually having someone to actually focus on this. And I've that's my passion. That's really what gets me going. So just remind me, when we finish talking, and I will give you some tips and some suggestions
Thank
to help you
you.
get there. And there are speaker bureaus, there are all kinds of organizations that are looking for people to talk about very, salient issues to their organization, so, you know,
Yes.
we can do that. So
Okay, good.
let me ask you a question about being a Black woman in technology. What is that like? What is,
Um,
what is that?
I'm usually the only one in the room. I think that is the thing that's most like it's most relevant to me as an indicator. So the last company that I worked with, once a year, we used to do a kind of a roundup of all the marketers at the home office,
Mhm,
and every year I would take a picture from my son with my kind of like a selfie where
mhm,
I'm in the picture and everybody behind me don't look like me at all. And I would send it to them probably every year for 3 years. And I would say, there's more work to be done
mhm.
because look at mommy.
Yeah,
I'm the only one in the room.
right.
And so I think that is the thing that continues to push me forward, because one of the things that I'm very passionate about is informing early career people,
Right.
because I want them to kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that were a part of my journey,
Mhm,
because I want to see them in the room with me. And so I probably have right now about 6 mentees,
mhm,
because I'm always trying to inform other people who look like me so that they can get in the room. And when they get in the room, they know how to operate in the room so that they can crack the door open for others to come in with them, because I feel very responsible for that.
right.
So I think being a Black woman in technology, I feel that I definitely have to hold the door open because it's not very many of us in the room.
When you're in the room, do you find that you are accepted and your ideas and your thoughts are supported, and you find that you have good support behind you, even though you are the only person in the room that looks like you?
I do think probably because I've been in the game for a little while, and I think I may have developed some um, some things that I just kind of naturally do. And
Mhm,
so as a marketer, right, that's a creative role. I have to ideas are something that we're doing every day, like
mhm,
generating new ideas, talking about new ideas. And if I have an idea, a lot of times I pre-socialize my idea so that when I get in the room, I'm not the only one like nodding their head.
right.
So that's probably a conditioning that I've done to myself over the years, so that when I get in the room, I have people who are saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, I talked to Shantell about that, and we think that's something that should be pushed forward, and we should put the budget towards, right?"
Mhm.
But that is probably a conditioning that I've done for myself, so that the odds are with me.
Well, that's very,
So
very good.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So I want to ask you about a word that you use. Use the word mentee. So
Mhm.
I'm going to give you three words, and I want you to tell me what the difference is between each word. What's the difference between an advocate, a coach, and a mentor?
An advocate to me is somebody who's in that room before me, and she's saying Shantell is about to come in. And when she comes in, y'all need to get on board with her stuff.
Mhm.
That to me is an advocate. A mentor is someone who has signed up to kind of be a sounding board and be on the journey with you,
Mhm.
right? Like to help you with some navigation.
Mhm.
And what was the third one? I'm sorry. Dang, Rochelle, I messed up.
That's just a product of getting old. I won't tell. We won't talk about that because
Yeah.
I forget stuff all the time. Coach.
Okay. A coach. Okay, that's the third one. A coach I almost liken a little bit to a mentor. they're the ones that, like, I think are probably doing the same thing, but doing it more actively. Like, yes, you got this. I think that, like, what you've got is a good idea. You can push it forward, like motivating you.
Mhm.
But I happen to have a mentor. That probably all three of those are wrapped up in one.
Right.
Yeah, that's really a close mentor of mine.
So you said you have a mentor. So of the three, as you described it, which would you most like to have? A coach, a mentor, or an advocate?
I think at this point in my career, an advocate. If I, thinking about me as a younger person, definitely a mentor. Someone willing to kind of help me navigate. Because right now, like I said, I've been doing this for a while, so I mostly feel pretty confident, like in most situations, right? But that thing that they talk about, the glass ceiling, all of those kind of those things that are like keep keep me from rising.
Mhm.
I really think that the answer to it is advocacy. So it's the people who can, they can vouch for my work. So when you look at me and you dismiss me because of what I look like, I need those people who are saying you shouldn't ignore Shantell.
Absolutely, I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
I've been all three, and
Mhm.
the mentor part for me is probably the one that has the least value for me,
Mm.
because you can mentor as many people as you want to, but unless you're going to stick with them for a long time and help
Mhm.
drive their career, a mentor is good. A coach is someone, as you just described, who's giving you advice, consulting. Hey, when you get ready to go into a meeting or you're having a difficult relationship with one of your coworkers, you can talk, bounce ideas off that person, and kind of say, hey,
Mhm.
this is what I think, and get some feedback from them, especially if they've been in the game for a while, such as yourself. And then the advocate is the person who's going to pick up that phone and call and say, hi, Rochelle, or that Rochelle should be your speaker, or that whatever.
Mhm.
And to me, of all those roles, the advocate is the one that's most important. And for Black and Brown communities, more times than not, we end up with the mentor, with
Mhm.
just someone there just telling you all the pitfalls and the successes of your career. And a coach, it's a good idea to sound off your ideas and thoughts with, but that person
Mhm.
who really put some skin in the game, right? Who's going
Yep.
to say, okay, I'm going to risk this for this person. I'm going to
Yep.
do what I can to help this person move to the next level. So
Mhm.
that was why I asked you this question. So thank you very much
Mhm.
for answering.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely see kind of alignment in where we're thinking, and it probably comes down to kind of where we both are, right?
Yeah.
You just, yeah. Like I need somebody who's gonna like bust the door down. I don't know, like, yeah, like why didn't you hire Chantel? I don't understand. Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit of a dinosaur, so I think you're still a little bit of a baby. You got a minute to
No,
go.
wait. We not gonna tell. We not gonna tell our age.
But
We not.
no, but you still a baby. You still got a minute to
Oh.
go. So, but I think that's great, and I think that that's the mindset you should start thinking about. And like, how do you build your community? So, we've got our coworkers and stuff, but I'm talking about a community of people that look like us, don't look like us, have male,
Mhm.
different gender, you know, different ideas, and have that as our community, and kind of build our community out. People call that networking, but networking to me sounds like going to a bar and having a drink. I want to have a conversation and build a community where we are constantly interacting with each other and talking to each other. At my university, a year or two ago, I built a group called Texan Collaboration, and so
Mhm.
from all across the university, all different skill sets, all different types of roles. And it is probably the best thing that I have, in my career, is to have that community of people. And like, if something happens to me, they're right there. If I need something, they're right there, and it's a good conversation. We meet once a month for lunch, and we talk about whatever's happening. So at the end of the day, building that community of people, and you want it to be as diverse as possible. And I say that, you know, not just women, not just men, not just white, not just black, not just brown, but, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not just old in the field, but young in the field, because what you get from that is you learn lot of lessons, right? I remember the
Agreed.
former president of the university, President Broadhead, said to me, he said, we are a sum total of all the people that we meet. And I think that when you build that community, the pieces that you gain from them help shape you and mold you to your next place, you know, because you got those people who are there, who are thinking about you and thinking about what you are, you know, doing, and how you're feeling and things of that nature. So, you know,
I
it's really
agree.
good to have a community. So, you know, I would really emphasize that you build that community and make sure your advocate is in that community so
Yeah.
that they're there for you.
Yep.
Um,
I agree with that.
so my next question is diversity. What does that word mean?
I'm actually getting certified in diversity and inclusion right now. I'm working on a certification, and I just came upon a word, dimensions of diversity.
Yes.
Oh, that word just landed with me so beautifully. It's just like, wow. Yes, yes. Because I think that people often think about diversity, that it's equal to minority.
Yeah.
And I think that diversity is, there are dimensions of diversity, right? Like just you and I just now pointed out something that we have like a different experience in. Um, you say you're a lot older than me and whatever, you call me a youngin, so that's cool. So I'm younger than you, so that's a difference, right? So that's a diverse thing. Like I work in technology, you work in academics, so I think that when we think about people have diverse experiences, that's what we bring to that is what diversity is. It is that kind of different experiences that we all kind of bring to the table, which means that there are dimensions of diversity. And so it means more to me than just a difference in race. And then I think the next level up is, like diversity is nowadays it's diversity and inclusion, right? So those are usually now D&I is kind of goes together, and they even now have added a B to it, belonging, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And so it literally to me is that, like, yeah, it's a lot of different things that make us different.
Mhm.
And the more that we can have an inclusive approach to people's differences, just the kind of better outcome we're going to have.
Yeah. You know, so I think I'm like my 11th year in my diversity certification, and I go back
Cool.
every year and I get my certificate. And you know, so when you added the B, what I thought about was the E. So diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And
And
ah,
B is the new word, you know, so that's what we
mm-hmm.
brought along recently.
Yeah.
But you know, and I think your point about diversity is correct. And the word dimension, the way I describe it is, you know, diversity of people, of persons, diversity of thoughts, diversity of ideas, and diversity of actions, right? So you don't have any set thing. And I tell this thing so often, I feel bad. I say it's almost every video chat I've had. I tell people the story, but
Well,
maybe
then it's good.
yeah,
Let's hear it. Let's
they're
hear
probably
it.
tired of me saying it though. But you remember in 2015 when Google released this facial recognition software?
Mhm.
So when it got to a certain complexion, it put up a
It
gorilla.
put, yep.
Right.
Hmm.
And I tell people all the time, Google did not intend to do that. That's bad
No.
business. They did not intend to do that. But when you have a group of people, and back in my generation, we used to call that group think, when you have a group of people that are all just alike, you know,
Hmm.
whether it's race, gender, or whatever it is, they're going to come up with a product that is representative of their values, their character, whatever. So
Hmm.
that's how they got a gorilla, because more than likely it was a bunch of young white men, and
Hmm.
they didn't think about skin tone, right? They didn't think about, you know, the variations even among white people in skin
Hmm.
colors. You have some very, very pale white people, and you have some white people that come down the spectrum almost to where very fair skinned black people are, you know.
Hmm.
So the thought was, so when they got to past their skin complexion, there was nothing else. So the algorithm had said, oh, well, this must be a gorilla, and so the fact that you aren't thinking about diversity in a way that is not just people, but so if we were sitting here and you and I were going to create a diversity company, you would bring the belonging and the inclusion and all those pieces and parts, and I would sit there and I would say, well, Shantell, what do you think about diversity of thought? Like, how do we incorporate that? How do we create diversity of action? In other words, if you decide to turn right on the street and I turn left, and we all still end up at the same place, diversity of action, right? So the whole
Mm-hmm.
idea is that we don't all have to do it exactly the same way. We just have
Yeah.
to be able to have the same outcome there. And I agree
Mm-hmm.
100% that people, often when you talk about diversity, people think automatically you're talking about Black and brown people, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they think you're talking about women. I don't think that's I think that's an old definition of diversity, and I think that
Yeah.
makes sense for a lot of people to be comfortable with that. But I think diversity is really a whole lot more than that. And I think that as we move along this track in this moment in time, we'll expand that even further, because there are probably other things we need to think about, because we got age, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got things like experiences. So you and I both work in technology, but like there are people who work in sales, or people who work
Mm-hmm.
in retail, or people who are cooks.
Right.
All of those
Healthcare. Yeah.
ideas together
Mm-hmm.
bring together a whole different outcome, right? And I often tell people, when you're hiring, most times you're hiring, regardless of the position you're hiring, you usually have the people that are most like that in the room. So if you're hiring a president or a vice president or whatever, director or whatever, everybody in the room is a director. Why not go get the person who just started in your organization, very
Mm-hmm.
brand new? Because
Yeah.
what that person is going to bring to the conversation is things that those people that are up there at that top haven't thought about in years, right?
Yep. That's
So
exactly right. I'm
yeah.
I'm developing a diverse reverse mentoring program right now, my company, for our employee resource group, for
Mhm.
that exact reason.
Right.
Right? It's really like looking at the dimensions of diversity and laddering that up to the executives, because so often once you get up to the top, right? There you're probably not interacting with the people who are early career.
Right.
And depending upon how the top looks, you may not be interacting with a lot of people who may look like me even. And so just the idea of having an opportunity to face with others is informative. I
Right.
mean, like I'm raising children, and I love talking to my 12-year-old just because he has like a totally different view of things than me. And whenever I talk to him, I learn so much,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah, like, yeah, mom, why are you doing it that way?
Right.
Yeah. And so if you really have a truly inclusive approach to just the way you move through the world, you're going to have the space to believe that somebody could possibly have something valuable to offer that may not be the same thing as you,
Absolutely.
just purely.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: have you seen the video of the death of Mr. Floyd?
Oh, yes.
What was your reaction?
Um, my first reaction was, get up, get up, get up, just get up. That was my first reaction, was that tenseness that you feel, like believing that you can make something different happen through the TV.
Yes.
Like, get up, so that he can survive. So I think that happened. That was my first reaction. Probably my continuous reaction was that um, now the world is going to see it, and I hope something different happens than what we saw with Rodney King, because we saw him too.
And all the others,
Uh,
Breonna Taylor, and all the others that have died, in the last few years. I mean,
mhm.
and I think that's important about that is that people act like the death of Mr. Floyd was some new thing. This has
Yeah.
been happening in our community for years. I mean, even
Hmm.
going back to the original enslaved people, lynching and doing
Right.
horrible things to them. And so now people have telephones and they have cameras and they all those things, so they can
Hmm.
record those activities. And so now we get to see them.
Right.
Uh,
The overseer has always been a threat
right,
to us.
right,
And so the overseer has had many different names,
right.
um, and I should say titles. But the overseer remains that that me and my body and the way I move in the world is a threat, and it always has been since our ancestors have been on this soil. And
Yes,
so I think for us, we're very I don't say that. We're very aware of what that experience is like, but every time the flash happens, where the awareness of the other people and they get to see, I tell you that I always insert hope
yeah,
because how else is it supposed to ever be better if you're just not hopeful? And
right,
so when I say to you that my second thought was just I hope that that they see this and it makes a difference. And like I'll tell you, at my company, for the first time ever, I had a conversation with leaders about race.
yeah.
I'm 47. I've been working.
I didn't tell you about start telling people you're
Oh,
still a,
yeah.
still a baby.
Well, now you're gonna have to say your age.
I will be 62 in November.
Woohoo! Like we got to embrace it all because the opposite of aging is not being here. So I'll
Exactly.
just embrace it all.
Yeah.
But like I've been in the work world for 25 or so years, and never have I ever had the opportunity to actually clearly talk about race and what it feels like to be in this space,
Hmm.
and to come to work every day, and most of the people who are leaders don't look like me. I've never had an opportunity to voice that, but I did. So I mean, just that, like I know that his death and the others are not in vain.
Yeah. His death is what
It's happening all over.
his death is what started me to doing these chats, because I got to the point where I just cannot stand not to say anything about it, and I
Yeah.
wanted other people to share their stories and their experience.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So,
Yeah.
you're a mother. I'm a mother. I have two children. I won't tell you
Hmm.
how they're on, but they're older than you. Um, do you have the conversation? Do you have to talk with your
Oh
child?
gosh. Yes, I have three sons. So my sons range in age from 24, 24, 23, and 12. And of course, I have to talk with them. It's not a one thing, just like it's an all the time thing.
All the
It's
time.
a way you move. My oldest son, when he went off to college, I told him don't ever go off campus without school paraphernalia,
Yeah.
because I need the people to know that you are not just some random kid, like you got, like you're on a pathway. I just want them to try to make the exception with
Right.
you, that that this kid might have some additional value, right? I'm just trying to secure my own,
Yeah.
that like just the idea that I like, one of the things that I told the leaders at my company when I had an opportunity to talk about race, they were floored by this story, but we didn't allow our sons to get licensed until they were 19, I think. Because I just purely afraid. I'm afraid of them being in a car, and my husband and I made an agreement with them that we don't care where you are, we'll come pick you up, we'll take you, we won't ask questions,
Yeah.
because we don't want them driving. We didn't want them driving. And so it wasn't until my sons got to college that they got licensed, because we just feel, like we just don't want them in harm's way, right? Is that and like the people like I talk to that don't look like me were floored by that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, because you probably don't have to think about that. You don't have to think about your child's life being at risk, not even from, say, the decisions that they make, like driving slow or driving fast or being risky. No, none of that. Just being in the car.
Yeah. Well, let me disrupt your thought right there. Young man about 2 months ago was killed jogging through a neighborhood. So
Yes, of course.
walking, driving,
Ahmad, yeah.
sleeping, eating, sitting in your own apartment, you could be killed. So there is no safe thing that you can protect your children from. So
Mm-hmm.
I have two children. One is 21. He's a senior in college, and one
Mm-hmm.
is an adult. And I have probably for as long as I could. I grew up in the rural South. I grew up very
Mm-hmm.
poor.
Me too.
I
In the
grew up
rural South.
I grew up
Mm-hmm.
where the N word was more common than the any other word. When they were referring to black people. Grown men being
Mm-hmm.
called boy. And
Yep.
things of that nature. So when my children were past middle school, I started having the conversations. And the other thing I did is I prayed. From the moment my children left home and
Yep.
arrived at their destination. So when my son was driving to school, I have find my friends on my phone, so I see the car moving all along the road and the car
Mm-hmm.
stop. Now, Molly,
Mm-hmm.
why you stop? Oh, I was stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay, good. Okay.
Yes.
And if he's on the campus and like so his from his door to our door, I know exactly how. So if he's like 50 miles away from me, I'm like, okay, where are you? Like, I went to get something to eat. Stop bothering me, mom. Like, I'm just trying to make sure you're okay.
Okay.
And then I pray when he's on his way home. I pray from the moment he tells mom, and I mean, he must tell me when he's leaving, and he must tell
Mm-hmm.
me when he gets home if I'm not
Yes.
home. But most, you know, and when white people hear that, they think that's just, I mean, it's just, that's just not even logical. Why would this happen? But I asked one of my white colleagues, when you're driving down the road and if a police officer pulls up behind you, the blue lights, what is the first thought you have in your mind? And he said, how much is this ticket gonna be? That was his thought. How much is this ticket gonna be?
Mm-hmm.
For us, when that blue light pulls up, are we gonna live through this exchange? Are we
Right.
right? Because
Mm-hmm.
and to further make it even more challenging now is now you got a mask on, right? So you're out in the public and you've got a mask on,
Mm-hmm.
so they can't, so there's so much that can be assumed about that. How many people will be killed in the middle of this pandemic because some assumption is made about you with that mask on,
Mm-hmm.
so as a parent, the pain of black and brown parents are so deep, and I've
Mm-hmm.
heard the word, we're tired, we're frustrated, we're done, we're over it. you know when will the rest of the world wake up and see? When will that happen? What has to happen? I think you said you talked to
Yeah.
your
Mm-hmm.
leadership. That's good. But what was the follow up? What was the follow through? What was the next thing that was done? Did they implement some actions in the space to make people feel some kind of way? And I mean, that's not a criticism of them, but my point just is we talk and we talk and we talk and talk. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the question. And I, in my organization, I actually see the what are we doing, because I'm a part of the work that's being done.
Well,
So when I talk to you about that diverse reverse mentoring program,
yeah,
like that's one of the outputs that we are making sure that it's a sustained understanding of, like you're basically having an opportunity to lead a large corporation. In some cases, the size of the corporation is the size of a small county.
right.
So,
Or
like
right.
you have an opportunity to influence a lot of people by your behavior. And then what you condition and what you allow. And so we look at just being in a business as an opportunity to be a microcosm of the greater world. And so what are we doing right now to harness and in some cases pivot?
Right.
I'm actively involved in those conversations and stuff. So I actually see the things on the table that are being considered. So I know that it's happening in my organization. Yeah. And so
Well,
I'm very proud of that, because I like I said, I don't want his death to be in vain.
right. Absolutely.
Just in all the ways that we can, in the small ways and the places that we inhabit, like what are the different things that we can exact to make change. I'm very conscious of that, and I now feel like it's a torch that we need to really carry. And so not being flippant about it is a very important thing. It's
Absolutely.
so important. Don't be flippant.
Yes.
Be, like, what is it in the spaces you inhabit? Challenge yourself to say, how can I do it differently? How can I show up so that people are getting informed differently?
Yeah. Absolutely. We have about 3 minutes, so I'm going to give the remainder of time to you to say whatever you wish to
Hmm.
say. I'm very thankful for you doing this chat with me. And as I said earlier, as soon as it converts, I'll send you a link. You can let me know whether we can upload it or you want to do something different.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely love this format. I just love the opportunity to just talk about it. Because these are, diverse perspectives that you actually are opening up this space to do. And so, and number one, I just thank you for developing this as a way to exchange, and then for, of course, inviting me to do so. But I'll tell you that I am very hopeful. And I'm just like, just by nature, an optimistic person. So I better say that first.
Yeah.
So, like, I just think that it's just all going to be better if we just work hard. Like, I just have that as a covering over the way that I move through life.
Yeah.
And so, like, as I think about it, and kind of the things that have gone on recently, I just think about it as being hopeful, because I truly believe that minds are changed at the dinner table and on the golf course.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right.
So we have to be willing to do what you said, creating a community of people that don't look like us, um, so that we can inform that, that we are not a myopic bunch. I know people think so. Like wait, no, I said the wrong words. I'm monolithic. We're not a monolithic bunch. There are spectrums of Black folks too. So, just like everybody else. And so it's something about being able to look at us and seeing not just, oh, that's a Black lady, but seeing that, oh, that's Shantell. She's from the South. That's why she sounds like that. Or, like just accepting that we are different. And so I think, like what I said earlier, like moving through life with a sense of inclusivity is the space for that.
Absolutely.
That's the way I move through life. And so I walk in, well, back before COVID, I walked in my office every day looking for the opportunity, right, to be able to share the experience of a Black woman, so that somebody in the exchange with me could believe that there are lots of different parts of us.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I'm glad you're hopeful. And I hope your hope becomes a reality and you keep that positivity, keep that in front of you and keep pushing for change.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably send you the link. If I don't do it tonight, I'll send it to you in the morning. But
Okay.
I'm going to reach out to you, and we're gonna talk about a few other things, just off this space.
Okay.
I have some ideas for you, and I think I have something I may need you to help me do. So
Okay.
I'll reach out to you. So maybe I have so many of these chats this week. My husband says I have them from morning, noon, and night. But you know,
You committed. No, I think that when you're committed to a cause, that's what it does. It just moves you, and like that's what's happening.
absolutely. And and I do believe that they are helping. I believe people, as people listen to these, they get different perspectives, right? They hear different stories. I mean, some of the things we repeat over and over again,
Mhm.
but there are different perspectives. So I will talk to you about that. So as soon as the
Mhm.
video converts, I'll send you a link. Please have a
Okay.
look at it. Make sure there's nothing there that bothers you, and let me know if I can upload it. And if not, if you want to do over, we can do over as well.
Okay. Yeah, this was good, Rochelle. This was great. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing this
Okay.
with me. Stay safe and
You too.
keep on pushing that boundary.
Hey, that's right. I'm gonna
Ab-
be in the room,
Absolutely. Bye.
cracking the door open. All right.